last week we we talked about Acts, talked some verses in Acts that Evelyn had brought some questions about, and after looking at that, some other things. Thank you, dear. Came to mind in reference to that, and
And remind me what part of Acts was that for?
Acts first chapter, verses what was it, 7 and 8? No, yeah. hmm And she focused on 7, receiving power. Now, um, some things have happened in the last week. It makes me look at that differently. I don't believe that we receive power. As I said last week, I believe that we become aware of the power. And I don't think that we take that serious enough. You know, how you say something, but you don't really hear it. You hear it, but you don't. I think that's what we are. And I believe that we need to rethink what we believe about ourselves. We have all of the academic / intellectual understandings or discussions about it. But, shall I say, however, Miss Barbara, however, I don't believe we have embraced it spiritually to the extent that we no longer discuss it, but realize that we are it. You know, the it of which I speak is the it of Elohim. I see it differently than what I've seen it in the past. I'm gonna give you an example. Craig and I we remodeled the bathroom upstairs. Craig and I did, and I had connected the water lines. And when Craig went in to connect the drain and turn the water on, in each one of their hot water lines, there was a leak, but in a different place. One was in the cutoff, and the other one was behind the cutoff in the copper piping. And I told him, I'm not going to do this. We just get a plumber. I'm not going to do it. I'm not cutting the pipe. I'm not going to solder. I'm not going to, So I go into the bathroom. I turn the hot water on, and I see what the drip is. So then I take my hand and wipe the water away and continue to turn it on. It's not dripping anymore. So I go to the other one, and I turn it on, and it was dripping from the copper pipe, as he said. I rub the water off of it, and it doesn't drip anymore. So I'm like, okay, did that really happen type feeling?
Mm-hmm.
And that caused me, that brought me to the understanding or to the belief that we have not fully embraced it, because had that been so, that should have been my expectation. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
That should have been my expectation. And I don't know at this moment how to get us, or how we should get to that place where it's commonplace for these types of events to happen in our lives. I'm though I'm stumped at this point as to how to articulate the method that we need to incorporate to embrace this, I don't think I'll be stumped. forever. I think some of us, someone in this room is going to, or someone on the phone or someone on Skype, somebody, one of us are going to see how to do this. You know, what does it take for us to truly embrace spiritually the essence of who we are? Diane?
I don't have a question. It's just a comment. Why do we think that there's a method? It's just a comment. Why do we think it's a method? Thank you. Wait a minute. Because I'm with Nick Corner. Set the intent of direction of your intent and just be. And if you're meditating and if you're just being, and everything that we've been taught and everything that we peeled off over the 20-something years that we've been coming together in simply being and knowing. I'm just trying to think back to a monk. And if they know in all of their being who they are, what we're supposed to do, what we're trying to do, and you're just being, that is there really steps to get to what you're trying to say? The awareness.
I'm not talking about steps. I
understand what
use the
you're
word
saying,
method,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term. Yeah, to set your
Set the direction of
the
your
direction of
intent and
desires
just
and
be.
just be. That's easy to say it. That's easy to say. But what does it mean? What does it mean to be? That is a statement that is so profound until it pretty much escapes explanation.
And that's my point.
So
Why
how
do
do,
we feel it has to
let
be
me finish.
words?
So how do you be? You know, that's my question. I'm not talking about doing meditation. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about in our daily lives. It's easy to set your intent and be when you're meditating. That's not the issue. But how do we do that when you're not thinking about meditation, when you're not thinking about the scriptures, when you're not thinking about anything? You're on your job, you're with your friends, you're driving down the highway, you're doing all these seemingly mundane things. So how is it that you incorporate what we believe without even having to give it thought? Malika and I was bringing Malika and Robert from the airport the other day. And the sun hit me in my eye. I couldn't see. The sun was so bright. I literally could not see anything except the sun. Mm-hmm. Not only was it shining in my face, but it was also reflected from the hood of the car. First thing came to my mind was, you need to stop. Because I remember what happened to Orion. Remember the accident? Mm-hmm. It was because of the sun. So I stopped. This truck, the whole car shakes because the truck is behind me. And Malika said, he hit us, Daddy. And I said, yep. So I get out of the car and I go look, and there's no damage. I mean, zero, not even a scratch. What happened? Now, the funny thing about it is that didn't shock me. It was not my expectation to see anything. Even though the impact was hard enough, to shake the car. There was not even a scratch there. Mm-hmm. Now, that was doing one of those mundane things that you don't really give thought to, right? Mm-hmm. How do we do that all the time is my question. Why is it that we are not at that place where we are able to do that, all the time?
Well, as you were talking, I thought about when I went off the road.
Uh-huh.
And as fast as I was going, and around that curve, I could have, the thing in my mind was, oh no, and it wasn't a, oh no, it was a,
oh well.
and then I just went with the flow.
Right.
And the flow was, I was able to, you know, I wonder if all of these things are happening now, because what I got out of that was, you know, pay attention. I wonder if this is the way, this is the smack, in a sense, of the warning for, not necessarily a warning, but how do you say it, a supportive kind of thing, to just pay attention. You know, and then each one of us begin to have these little things that show us who we are. Just pay attention, and there are probably some things that have happened to us in the past that the outcome should have been different, but it wasn't because of who we were, who we are, but we didn't pay attention, and so I don't. All I know is I'm trying to pay attention. I'm just trying to just be present.
So the desire is not to know who we are. The desire is to be who we are. I believe it's more imperative now than ever before. This thing with Iran is more impactful than we think. It's more spiritual than we understand. If everything that's happened since the inception of Trump's election, inauguration, has impacted us by virtue of exposure, why would this be any different? Could it be that these things are happening, Barbara, as you have stated, for us to pay attention, but to pay attention to what? To everything. Not just what happens, when you run off the road, or when someone runs in the back of me, or not just what happens in our individual lives, but to pay attention to what's happening that has the propensity to affect the whole of humanity. And this has the propensity to do that in a very detrimental way, or in a manner that is going to bring stability, a balance. It's going to put the world in rhythm. It's not going to be something that ends up stagnant, or something that has no impact at all. It's going to have an impact. So, paying attention to this, right? Are we to pay attention to it in order for it to be something that brings humanity into rhythm, as opposed to push us further apart?
I believe that we have to pay attention, attend to it, be attentive to it, be mindful of it, as a means of doing what we meditated about. We said that the Most High gave us divine breath. We inhale that, and when we exhale it, it brings balance, it brings harmony to human consciousness, to the earth and its environment, and to the universe. Look what's happened since we did that. If you look at Australia from space, it looks like
The
the
whole
thing
country
is
is.
on fire.
Yeah, it does.
And then you had Kim Jong-un making his threats, and now you have this. I think it's the opportunity. We're going to see much more of this turmoil, so that we don't lose our focus, and we if no one else is saying, oh, that's happening, but things are getting balanced. I think that's what we're about. Regardless of what happens, somebody has to, it's like when we weigh the scales, and you say, okay, this is on the scale. War with Iraq, Iran seems imminent. Blah 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 blah. Australia's burning. Blah blah blah. Unrest all over the world. People in the streets marching. Blah 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 blah. But on the other side of the scale is, okay, you being attentive. You're keeping the balance here, because things could, if no one was doing that, everything could erupt. Each one of those situations could be its own major disaster. And I believe the world needs people like us to be mindful that that's okay. That's okay that that's happening. That's okay. It will not become total chaos. Things will become balanced. And that's just what I feel.
What you've just explained or spoken about is, but ye shall receive power, or you shall be aware, become aware of the power of the Spirit. It's not when it comes upon you, it's when you become aware of it. Now, when that happens, when you become aware of it, you will be a witness where? You will be a witness of righteousness. You will be a witness of praise. And what does Samaria mean? Samaria comes from a root word that means to watch or to perceive, to be on guard. What's that word? It's another word in there. To be circumspected, to take heed. So it's talking about when you become aware of the essence of your power, you will be a witness to what is righteous, what is you will to praise, as well as you will take heed to, or you will be mindful of what's happening around you, whether it is where you are immediately or whether it is a distance from you, uttermost parts of the earth. So what I'm seeing is that the understanding of the power frees us from having to be cognizant of our daily upkeep, or having to watch to be sure that things are in place for our daily lives. You don't have to worry about the work, the money, the things that you need in order for you to live in this earth, right? Mm-hmm. Even though we say that, seek ye first the kingdom of God and righteousness, all these things will be added. Have we been living that? If we think one moment about tomorrow, then we're not living that.
Wow.
You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So if you take that and couple it with, give us our daily bread, this is not talking about food, it's talking about spiritual sustenance. If we are embracing that for what it is, and we coupled with seek ye first kingdom and all these things will be added, and we look at that in relationship to saying that you are going to be a witness of what righteousness is, it doesn't mean that you're going to tell somebody. It means that you're going to live that way. It means that when they see you, they see righteousness, they see praise, they see adoration, they see submissiveness to the one who created everything that is, and by seeing that, they also see that you are the watchman that's on the wall. You are taking heed to everything that's happening around, so that mankind can benefit from it. It's not taking heed to what's going to benefit you in any way whatsoever. The key to it, I believe, is this: understanding that when you are totally committed to the now for the benefit of humanity, you have no reason to even think about what you feel like you might need or want. You have no reason to give any thought to how you're going to make it the next minute, next day, or next week. Why? Because if you truly believe that if you seek this kingdom, if you truly believe that you are the essence of righteousness, you are the power, that you are the soul that received this breath of life. If you believe that, then it is impossible for humanity to be taken care of without you being included in that. However, if we look at what we quote unquote need or want, then we are excluding humanity because we're doing it for ourselves. So the moment that we think about what we feel, want, desire, however you want to put it, for ourselves as an individual or as a group for that matter, we have put a fence between us and humanity. So everything has to be humanity because it is impossible for it to be humanity and not include us as well. But if we just say us, then we exclude humanity. Can you see that?
Yes.
Now, that's a huge pill to swallow because we have all of these expectations that have been drilled into us and all these desires, not so much for us necessarily as individuals, but for our kids, for people close to us. And those expectations have to die. The expectation has to be for the benefit of humanity as opposed to our individual selves, inclusive of course, our relatives and friends, extended family, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It does. And I needed to hear that again. I needed to be mindful of that again. Because it's so easy to get away from thinking about mankind in general. It's about me.
And
so I needed to hear that. I needed to be mindful of that.
and we have to see mankind as you are mankind. Now, even though we say that,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about, let's say that you're talking about, well, I need a better position in life in terms of job, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's about you,
Okay.
not mankind.
Right.
If that is what you need, that is what you have. Because you're not the determining factor for your needs.
Right.
The Creator is.
Okay.
And when I'm talking to you, like Evelyn, I'm talking about all of us as individuals. Really, we are not the determining factor in what we need. The Creator is. And we cannot sit on the edge that today the Creator is in charge of what I need, tomorrow I am. Every time that we talk about what we need or what we want, then we are excluding what we say we believe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
I cannot afford to talk about what I want for my kids or for me. Because if I am being shepherded, then everything is taken care of. This is where our focus has to be. Knowing that Yahweh is continuously shepherding the sheep. And that being so, the sheep never searches for anything that it needs because Yahweh has already provided it prior to you knowing you need it. the idea of what's happening in the earth now speaks to the necessity in us being Samaria, being a watchtower, or Samaria also means to be a hedge around. It is imperative for us to see ourselves as this hedge around humanity so that we move beyond this selfishness that's clothed in something that doesn't look so selfish. We got all kinds of ways of talking about ourselves without really saying we're talking about ourselves, you know. That has to be shedded. This the consciousness that we have to embrace is simply saying the awareness that we have to embrace. To be aware of the consciousness of the earth makes us aware of how we are to where we are to focus our attention so that we can have a positive impact for the benefit of humanity. It's funny, the 13th, I leave. Keisha and I are going to Jordan. And I woke up, well actually, after I woke up this morning, normally I don't even look at my phone until I get ready to leave. But I looked at it this morning and I had received a call from Jordan. So I took a screenshot of it and sent it to Keisha and asked her if she had any idea what this is. She said, no. I have talked to people in Jordan, but your number is not on anything pertaining to Jordan. I don't know where it came from. You know I called her number. And it did not even ring. I just heard people talking, somebody in broken English and somebody in English, but could not understand what they were saying. And then I thought about it and I said to her, I don't know what this means, but it doesn't unnerve me at all. But now that I think about it, is that a message? That this presence is needed in Jordan, which is the center of all the stuff that's going on around Jordan, you know, to affect it, to bring balance to it. Now that I think about it, is this to bring attention?
Because you're paying attention, Paul.
Because otherwise, I was not thinking about, you know, of course I know what's happening in Syria. I know what's going on, right? Mm. But I was not thinking about the impact that could possibly be by virtue of going there. It was simply a trip. But now it's different. It's more than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it was simply a trip to you.
Yeah. It was. I'm looking
not,
forward to going to
just
Petra, right?
A trip.
Yeah, I'm going to Petra. I'm looking forward to all the other things that's on the agenda. However, now there's one agenda.
Yeah, the primary one.
Yes. Now, because all of these things that we would call in another life extraordinary are becoming ordinary. Now, had no clue until just a few moments ago what that call could possibly have meant. And to call it, and to call the number and it not ring, just hearing people talk. Why? suppose that from the period that we are gone until time that we come back, that energy has been dispersed, and 14 days after our getting back from that place, that things begin to settle down. Balance comes. Because without that, well, let me back up. Suppose that the Creator, let me back up even further. The trip that, that we were supposed to take, we were supposed to be going to Iceland. And out of the blue, Keisha called me and said, Daddy, would you rather go to Iceland or Jordan? And I said, I want to go to Iceland. She said, you sure? And I thought about it. Okay, we go to Jordan. Suppose that this trip was set up.
How long ago was that?
This was in, I can tell you exactly when it was. I think it was in October.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yeah. I'm almost certain it was in October.
It's before all of these other things
Oh my God,
manifested.
yes. Yes, ma'am. Long before all these other things took place. Yeah, it was in October. and now on the as we get closer to the trip, here we are with these other things. Everything's about to explode because of what happened. So suppose this whole idea of the trip is inextricably tied to it preventing what is about to happen or what's on the horizon.
I think it's orchestrated, and that's why we had to get the message to, be mindful of what, otherwise, yeah, it would have been just a trip.
Yeah.
Even with Iran saying what it's gonna do, et cetera, it would still have been a trip
Yes.
had you not been.
Because we talked about that the day before yesterday. When we were talking, she was like, do you see what this idiot did? I said, yeah. She says, I asked her, I said, well, is there a travel advisory out? She checked, it's on level 1. I said, well, within 48 hours, we'll know whether it's going to reach 3 or 4, right? And I said to her, if it's a 4, I still going. I still want to go. It doesn't matter. Now, why do I feel that? I don't know why I felt that. Because if it were a 4, I definitely wouldn't want her to go. It's different than being a 4 in South America and a 4 in the Middle East. Usually in South America, it's a 4 because they don't want you to get kidnapped. Ain't nobody go kidnap me because they know we ain't got no money. So, who go kidnap me and ask for $1 million ransom? That's not, that don't bother me. But to go to a 4 in that part of the world means that there's a threat for Americans in the areas where tourists are.